Welcome to Seattle Executive Edge, the podcast featuring the leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives shaping our city as members of the Seattle Executives Association, a trusted business community with over 100 years of history. Here, we go beyond strategy and hustle to explore the relationships, trust, and connections that drive real success in Seattle. Let's dive in.
Welcome to another episode of the Seattle Executive Edge, a podcast for Seattle business leaders. I'm your host, Susan Sterholm of All Things HR. I want to welcome Seattle Executive member Mario Juarez, president of Story Co., LLC, and our guest today on the Seattle Executive Edge. Mario, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
How long have you been part of Seattle Execs?
I joined Seattle Execs at the height of the pandemic, right at the end of 2020, and was happy to have a chance to network with people, even though it was virtual. It was very exciting when I finally was able, a year later, to go into a big room and see everybody in person.
Fine, I remember those days. Oh my gosh, right? It feels like forever ago, but it was just only, 6 years ago? Am I
Dark
easy?
days.
Dark days, absolutely. How did you find out about this organization?
I was working with a guy named John Plesh.
Know him very well.
Yes, he's an execs member. I was referred to him to help me set up some of my branding and websites, and he told me about the organization, invited me in, and I thought, what the heck? Here I am.
Wow, very cool. Great. It just kind of happens like that too,
It
right?
does. I think that's where a lot of referrals come. People are having productive business connections. It's a natural opportunity for an exec members to say, hey, would you like to build on that? And I think that's what happens.
Absolutely. So StoryCo is the name of your company. What does your company do?
StoryCo is a company that exists to just help people get better business results, even personal outcomes, by understanding storytelling, by understanding what storytelling is and how to use it strategically in the mix of whatever it is they're doing in their business or their life.
Wow. And so what type of companies do you work with and support?
Well, Microsoft's been my big mainstream anchor client, and I've worked with other tech companies as well. The economy is shifting now, and I'm kind of looking at ways to diversify, primarily because I just think there are so many people who need this. In the early days, it was very easy. Before COVID, there was an economic model where the big tech companies were providing funding for workshops, training, coaching. That's gone. That's
Yeah,
probably permanently gone.
absolutely.
And so now I'm thinking about how can I help companies that are smaller, teams, individuals. It's really kind of just where I feel like I can have the most, meaning in somebody's life.
Most value. Totally
Yeah.
understand that. Well, and what is the ideal client for you? What does that look like?
The ideal client for me is somebody who's actually going to use it. Somebody who's good. I mean, I can do a storytelling workshop, and I've done workshops in front of hundreds of people, giant rooms, and it's this just big love fest and a party. It's great, and I highly advise and recommend that for anybody who wants to have something that creates a jolt of energy and puts some skills in. This sort of the sweet spot is a client that is really motivated to take what they recognize as a critical competency, understand it, and apply it. So if it's either a team or an organization that has a leader who believes and a leader who is going to sponsor that within the organization.
Got it.
I also just enjoy working with individuals. This is just a side thing for me. I've worked with lots of young people who are looking to get into that college or get into that program or that scholarship or or that date and understand what is it that motivates people to connect? What is it that motivates people to take that connection and be willing to convert it into an action? And
Got
how
it.
do you do that in a way that's sort of not cynical or manipulative, but is grounded in authenticity and real values?
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that you don't need to have a certain head count. You don't have, it could be any industry. You can support pretty much anyone who is in a business,
Yeah, that's
whether it
true.
be one person or 1,000 employees, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't really matter the size of the team or the group. It doesn't matter the length of the engagement. A lot of times people say, hey, 90-minute workshop, it's going to help our organization. Sometimes that converts out into engagements that last months and months.
Wow.
And there's additions that I do in addition to the workshop and the coaching experience. For example, I work with people to basically build a TED Talk
Gotcha.
and know how to take a really big idea and turn it into an amazing performance. And I
Wow.
love doing that as well.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
I can see your passion for this, and
Yeah.
that's so cool. So, in a referral-based community, why do stories help people remember you and refer business your way with confidence, like more than facts or job titles alone?
It all boils down to the sense of meaning. If you were in a networking an event or in a big room, everybody's talking about a lot of transitory sort of kind of not really significant details. What stands out is when people have a sense of meaning. They remember you because of the ideas you put in their heads and how you made them feel. And you brought ideas that come out of what they care about that stimulate their thinking, that make them engaged at something far beyond just the intellectual.
Wow.
That's what stories do. Stories go kind of break through that wall that we all have. Yeah, you go to a networking event and you're just like, put on the seatbelt because God help me, gets through this and act like I'm interested. And you're a little business where you make hat pins or something. At some point, our eyes just glaze over. And what changes that is when somebody comes to you with a question or some offered bit of experience that resonates with what they care about. And when you learn the art of understanding how to read a person and bring something to them that is going to just create this resonance, that's there's actually like a physiological component to it. Because most times, and if I can, I'll drill down here on this for a second.
Please do. Yes.
Most of the times when people talk about their business, they talk about what it is they do. So it's very transactional. Hey, we have a flooring company. We have 10 different kinds of tiles. We'll do floors. Like we can even come in and work on your walls and baseboards. And it's very transactional. It's very nice. It's important stuff, but there's no real reason to care.
Okay.
If you come at it differently and you talk about what the customer cares about. So why does somebody care about flooring? Well, maybe it's because I'm having this remodel and I want to make sure that the floors are right, but I also need to get somebody who understands how to work with a contractor and is going to just do this smoothly and is going to just blow me away. It's going to give me a place for the rest of my life where I walk into the room and I look at that floor and I feel like I'm home. That's a totally different kind of communication. And when you do that right, it actually creates these changes in the body, it changes in the brain. And a really good story has a mix of some degree of stress and payoff, some kind of a sense of resonance with an emotion that we care about, which is our grounded human emotions. Do I belong? Am I loved? Am I safe?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you can make those connections and you bring vivid experiences to people, that's what lights people up. And they actually will remember more who you are and how you made them feel than they will about whether you had tile versus just linoleum.
Absolutely.
And so that's the barrier that we're looking to cross here.
Wow. So, when someone's at a networking event and they ask you, so what do you do? What makes an answer memorable instead of sounding transactional?
When you talk about the problem that you solve for the customer and you bring that customer to life. So you talk about the meaningful thing.
Okay.
So if you've got somebody who is an estate planning attorney,
Okay.
they could say, well, we were estate planners. We have all these different degrees. We can help you set up a trust. We can help you set up a conditional trust and a blah, 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 blah trust, as opposed to saying, we help a family prepare for the unexpected. And that when a family has a legacy, we make sure that that gets carried through, whether it's by plan or whether there's a tragedy, this one part of your life will be set. Your financial basis is secure when you work with us. That's a totally different kind of message.
In a totally different feel.
Yeah.
Like, I felt that connection
Hmm.
from you. It's like
Yeah.
you were pulling me in. I was hearing you, and I was like, "Oh, that's meaningful to
Yeah.
me."
And you should be locked and loaded with stories.
Yeah.
You should be locked and loaded like the story that a good trust attorney would say is like, well, when I watch Cinderella, I don't see a story about this wonderful, I see a story about failed family planning and an evil stepmother who took all the money and did something I never intended. We prevent that story. These kinds of things, and you can have lots of grounded stories, which of course you need to curate and be very careful with about how you helped your clients. How you should, as a business owner, you should be collecting these all the time. Where did your business actually help another person? What does that helping look like? What is the problem that a person had? What were the options that they had? How did you help them? Where did they end up? I mean, we actually, as humans, like we're conditioned. It's a biological thing. Storytelling is actually regarded as an evolutionary benefit that humans have gained because it's really how we share information and how we share knowledge while this life is happening all around us and we're on the run. We are wired to infer meaning and collect knowledge through the process and telling of stories. And so when you do that, you understand how to overlay, people will sit till the cows come home. People just sit around and listen, especially if what you're saying resonates with them and you invite them to bring their stories in. Now, a piece of this that's really tied carefully and is an underlying factor and a real success factor is ask yourself as a business owner, like, what do you believe? What do you believe? What do you think is the important thing that matters? If you're a real estate person, what is your core belief? And that should be, most of us have beliefs that are forged through experience. Often bad experiences, things that we learn the hard way. Other humans love to hear about those bad experiences. They love to hear about those defining moments that made you what you are and that really, in concrete, vivid human terms, bring to life why you believe what you believe. When you tune into those and you weave those on your website, on your pitch, on your tagline, that's the thing that brings people in. And that emotional factor, hard to measure, is the thing that can make a difference. And there's many examples that I could point to you of where somebody made one change on a website and suddenly a whole new brand of business came in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it's great stuff. It's something humans love. When you bring actual stories into business, it's often a relief,
Yeah.
provided that they're real stories, provided
Yeah.
that they're true and grounded,
And genuine,
and
right? Yeah,
genuine.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And if they're authentic to you, if they're authentic to why you have your business, what it means. I just saw a presentation where a guy who owns a landscaping business was talking about his workers, and there's this group of people that are working for him that are sort of all part of this extended family, and you can tell how much he loved them. So that gives me, as a potential customer, a reason to believe, because I believe that he cares, and if he cares about his people that much, well, then he's going to care about me. And actually, that's way more important to me and why I would choose him over whether somebody had a competency in flagstones versus granite slabs. I really don't care. I'm going to care more like I can trust this guy. And that creation of trust comes through sharing, it comes through shared vulnerability, and it comes through experiences that you push out as stories, because stories are really just virtualized experiences, that then invite that other person to go. And you get that circular thing going. People aren't paying attention to cost. People aren't paying attention to all kinds of problems that can happen. They're mostly just like, I sense that you are a safe person. I sense that you are trustworthy. I sense that you get me. And as humans, we like to say we're data driven. Typically, people make their decisions at an emotional level, usually not even consciously, and then they use data
To
to
support?
support and substantiate the decision they've already made. And
Wow.
there's a lot of research that people aren't even really fully
Yeah,
aware that
they're
they're
not
doing that.
aware.
So this is the way to cut the line in people's attention and get them to want to stay with you.
So, what kind of stories make people want to continue the conversation with you after an event?
Any story that makes them see themselves in what you tell them. So if you say, I'm running a plumbing company and you start telling stories about that hairball in the drain or something, it's an invitation for the person on the other side to go, that happened to my mother and I
They
kept
relate.
telling her, and
Mm.
they relate. And now they're talking about the experiences that surround the problem that you solve. But critically, they're inhabiting them.
Yeah.
They're sharing it. You've invited them into a problem space that they can relate to, that you understand.
Mhm.
And they're always going to be the center of the story. Your customer is always the hero of the story. It's a huge mistake businesses make. They think we're the hero of the story. Look, nobody cares about your frickin' flower shop. Nobody cares. I'm sorry. You're a wonderful person. I love you. But when you talk to me about love and loss and tragedy and celebration and pure joy and surprise and romance in your fifth decade of marriage. Boy, everybody wants to talk about that. And flowers in the middle of all that. Flowers are the carrier. Flowers are the way. And if you're in the flower business because you really believe that flowers are transcendently beautiful and that they hit something in our psyches as human beings, hey, people are going to keep talking about that. And your conversations won't be about you. You're not the hero of that story. You are the guide. You are the mentor. You are the enabler of a way forward that is the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's the biggest mistake professionals make when it comes to networking in person, especially in rooms built around referrals and long term relationships like Seattle Executives Association?
The biggest mistake that people make is they talk about what they do. They talk about their business.
Okay.
They talk about the thing that they sell. They talk about the terms of sale. They talk about all the factors that really accrue to their business plan.
Okay.
That makes a kind of a sense.
Yeah.
I'm hitting my marks. We're making our money. We're really proud of the flagstones that we sell that nobody else offers. Those are great, but those are not the kinds of things that are ever going to help you win people's attention in a crowded room or in a crowded marketplace. Same principle applies to the way that you market yourself on your website and all of your communications. Where you want to go is the place where you're talking again about that problem that you solve. And you understand how to bring the customer or that person that you're talking to into the conversation. So always be asking yourself, what human experiences is this person that I'm just meeting likely to have that surround flowers, that surround plumbing, that surround this new technology that we're offering? And you begin there. You begin talking about that, and you recast the way that you build your tagline. You recast the way that you answer that question so that it very quickly points to something that that person is likely to go, that's I'm having that problem. You asked me at the beginning what I do. I said I help people get better business results. If I'm in a networking meeting, what I'll say to people is, I'll say, you know how when you have 5 seconds to talk to somebody and you're completely stuck and you sort of fumble and stumble and you realize you missed your window and then you're driving home and you go to, I should have, you know how you wish you had those
Yep.
perfect words right at your, that's what I give you. I understand that's actually really hard. And I understand that when you do it, it feels exciting and it sticks and people will remember it. That's the kind of recasting that you need to do to engage people, to stand out, to have people continue talking. And I guess what I would also say is be sure you're asking a lot of questions. Check in with that person and learn how to read the body language, learn how to gauge their responses,
Wow.
and never forget to ask them what they do. And never forget to ask them, again, not pushy, not cynically, but cultivate a genuine curiosity in that other person. And that'll give you the guideposts to finding your way in.
Wow. And how can business owners tell better stories in the short networking conversations without sounding rehearsed or overly sales focused?
Well, I don't know. I think that when I hear that question, my first thing is don't try to do too much
Okay.
in,
Okay.
in
And
one
that's
of
fair,
those.
right? Yeah.
One of the most powerful thing about a story is that a story creates a connection with another person. So just sort of begin there. The idea that you're trying to explain your entire value proposition, like, no, you're trying to engage them in a conversation. And so, again, I typically will work with somebody and have lots of ideas queued up and curated, but yeah, I'm in flowers. What was the last time you ever sent flowers to anybody? Can I ask you why you sent flowers? And listen to that, ask those questions. That's an conversation entirely
Wow.
about that person. And I'm in real estate,
Right.
and go from there. And when I work with somebody over time, I'll say, okay, let's build 2 or 3 stories that you always have in your pocket. And by story, I just mean a little virtualized thing where there's a problem. People, as
Yeah.
humans, we love trouble. We
We
love,
love it. Yeah. We're
story.
drawn to it.
We're drawn to it. And when we encounter a problem or we even think about a problem, the hairball in the sink, the basement that flooded, the disaster that happened when the will was not what everybody expected, our brains actually produce a mix. It's our bodies do. We get a little shot of cortisol. This actually comes out of the adrenal gland. It's a stress hormone. Uh-oh, something is wrong. And then we also tie that with an empathy of, oh, and somebody is going to get hurt. That's oxytocin. And that dynamic, there's a problem and there's a solution. Like, we just can't get enough of that. So you want to find a way to bring that in and engage people in a conversation where you're sharing that. And when your problem that you bring in a story, whether it's your problem or somebody else's, resonates with the other person, then you kind of create this sense of like insiders, like, oh, you get me. There's this trust. We understand each other. Then you can go deeper into all these things. But odds are you're not going to get into that more expensive piece of flagstone until hours into the engagement because you're busy building a human
Yeah.
connection.
That makes sense. So, can you share some of your success stories from being part of Seattle Executives?
Well, there's 2 different brands of
Okay.
success stories that come with Seattle executives. And one of them is offering your own services, and then the other one is a part of being in this community. So let me take those one at a time. The first one, offering my own services. John Plesh, I mentioned to you, he runs a company called Electric Pen. They're a digital marketing agency. And 3 or 4 years ago, I got connected with this founder of a tech company who was putting out this AI innovation. And first, he brought me in just to help him tell his story. And then he said, hey, I want you to do my marketing. So pick up the phone, John Plesh, can we do this marketing thing together? And we had about a 2-year engagement. It was it was financially very
I
successful.
bet.
And we had a
Yes.
blast with it. And the guy kind of crashed and burned as startups often do. But that was one where it really showed me the kind of synergy that you can get if you are within this organization. And there's many different domains. There's some of professional services, some technical services, lots of physical kinds of building and home and just across the full gamut. And when you're in here, you can build those synergies. I mean, I've had some great experiences just working, helping people with their stories, helping teams, small businesses with their stories. But that one with John, that was pretty killer. And we've done some other great things together. We kind of work really well. That's the first part. The other part is the part where you're in this thing and it's like you have your own personal Angie's list, if you understand the reference. Like you have this
Yep.
book of providers. I can point to a plumbing emergency and an electric emergency that had me my cortisol was spiking. And I picked this up and I literally had a solution in my house within 12 hours. That was like the definitive fix, including one, this plumbing thing was like a disaster and I live in this old house and all these roots and I ended up having to like put in a whole new sewer line.
Oh my God.
It's like buying a really nice car and burying it at the side of your house and never seeing it again. But they just did such a fantastic job, and that's this, like, personal touch that you get, and then it's just like, I get to hang out with people like you, I get to hang out with people that I really like and admire, and I'm just like, "Wow, I just feel, like, very lucky to be in the company with these people." I just enjoy the social aspect of it maybe most of all.
I definitely know and understand that feeling. Mario, if you wouldn't mind sharing, what are some tips for somebody who's coming to their first Seattle executive lunch meeting? I mean, if you can share like one do and one don't, that would be, I think, incredibly helpful.
Yeah, first do is don't be shy. I guess that's a don't, but be open and be willing. Everyone in that room is going to be interested in who you are. And it is a room of friendlies. You're never going to get an audience. You're never going to get time with people who are going to be more welcoming and receptive. Like everyone there wants to help you. So be ready with a story, a small bit, the elevator pitch of what you do, applying all the things that we just talked about. Bring your cards, bring a business card, make it easy for people to connect. And the don'ts, don't be afraid, don't be shy. I would say, don't think that there's anyone there who is unwilling to help you. One other thing that I would just say is don't expect that it's all going to happen in one meeting. Honestly, I think it takes about a year for you to get the full value of the experience. It can actually feel a little intimidating because it's almost like this club where everybody sort of knows the rules and you're like, I'm not an insider. I don't feel like an insider here. There really are no insiders. It's a lot of people who know each other, but man, they will be so happy to get to know you.
Thank you for being our guest today, Mario. We greatly appreciate you being with us today. And thank you for listening to the Seattle Executive Edge. And a special thanks to the Washington Athletic Club for the podcast space. And for more information about Seattle Execs, visit seattleexecs.org.